Good morning, Samantha.
Good morning, Dr. George.
How you doing today?
I'm pretty good this morning. Um, it was a really crazy kind of long week for me.
Okay.
Um, I think I'm still kind of trying to process everything that happened last week. Um, it just like I don't really know where to start on it. Um, it started off kind of crazy, I guess, with school because right now we're finally starting like a lot of clinicals. And so we've been working with like actual animals in school and kind of going to different locations to do it. And so we've been working with some small animals, and then we were off at a farm and learning how to like care for them. And so that was just stressful because like we've gone from working in books and just kind of a lot of theory and stuff to actually working on animals where you can make a mistake. And so I was like excited to do that, but I was also really nervous because at the vet where I work, I don't tend to like actually do the work on animals. I just assist in everything.
Okay.
So that like started off good. I was just kind of nerve-wracking, but when we were off doing clinicals and stuff, I got paired up with that girl that invited me to the party
Okay.
in my class.
All right.
And she and I got talking, and well, it turns out that I actually knew her kind of from when I was younger. She's actually that friend of mine from that really, really abusive foster home I was in. When I kind of got separated from all the other kids and stuff. And I was kind of in shock. I didn't know how to take that. One, I couldn't believe I didn't recognize her, after all this time. And I guess she recognized me, but because I wasn't like, I wasn't talking to her and acknowledging her, she thought maybe I didn't want to talk to her. And just all this stuff came out when we got paired together for some of our clinicals. And I don't know what to do. I don't know what to do with that. She's like, she really wants to reconnect, but I don't know how I feel about it.
Wow. So how did you finally discover who she was? I mean, how did that happen?
Well, so when we were like paired up and everything, we were just like talking and kind of talking about life and stuff. And then she finally just sort of looked at me. I think she realized maybe I didn't remember her. And she just like, she asked me, she's like, do you remember me? And I was like, I mean, like, should I, like, was it the party that you're talking about, or, where and whatever? And she was there and she's like, no, she's like, I'm Lauren. I was like, what? And she's like, we were in a foster home together when we were little. And I was just like, I don't know, I didn't really know what to say. And then it kind of got awkward. And I mean, I don't know. I've been kind of awkward around her all week since then because I don't know what to do about that. And then she keeps trying to like come up and talk and reconnect. And I think she wants to like try to be friends, but I don't know. That's confusing.
Yeah. Well, it sounds like you're overwhelmed with all those feelings. So, wow. So when you discovered who she was, what thoughts went through your mind, um, and how did you handle it?
Well, I mean, when she told me who she was, kind of a lot of just what happened at that foster home came back to me. And I just felt like, I don't know, kind of maybe not regret, but I just felt really guilty about it because, she kept disobeying people there and would come hang out with me and try to play with me and stuff, and then she'd always get really punished for it. And um she's acting so nice, but like, I mean, you'd think that she'd blame me for that
Right.
and for what happened to her because of that. And I don't know, I felt really really awkward and kind of insecure. And now when I go to class, like, because I know she's there, I just I kind of have to like stand outside of the school for a few minutes and sort of compose myself and try to figure out how to walk in and look at her, because every time I see her, all I remember is everything that happened and not like who she is right now. I now see her as that girl that I knew as a kid, and it's just it's weird for me now.
Yeah. How old were you when this happened?
um I was kind of, I think, between like 6 and 7, kind of. That's when I remember it, at least.
So when you see her, do you see yourself as being that 6-year-old or 7-year-old?
I I don't know. I know that I start to kind of feel the way I did back then. Um, I kind of, the person that I was back then kind of comes out.
Right.
And I don't know, whenever I see her, I just kind of want to cry and be off by myself and not be in class, you know. And um and I'm like, I have like another year and a half that I'm in this, school for before I move on.
Yeah.
And it's really hard to like transfer at this point or anything, and I don't think I really want to transfer. I just don't know how I'm supposed to like act around her.
Right. Well, it's very scary, and it's kind of a shock. And you're remembering things for what it was like for you when you're 6 years old. We're very complex. You mentioned that 6-year-old comes out. My theory is that your 6-year old has never left. She's always been with you. It's just that you may not be fully aware of what she's feeling. Does that make sense? But then also, too, you're this adult who's working on building your career, and you're in school and you're trying to get your life together. So you have your 6-year-old self, then you have your adult self. So it sounds like the challenge is, how do you care for your 6-year-old child self as you are functioning as an adult? For some people, when those things get out of balance, then things tend to fall apart. Does that make sense? So it sounds like what you're asking for is, how can you manage all those strong feelings that you had as a kiddo as you're trying to function as an adult? So a question I want to ask you is, if you could talk to your 6-year-old self, what is she needing from you right now?
I mean, I think kind of with this girl, she just needs to know that, I think she needs someone to tell her that everything that happened to that girl wasn't really her fault, because they were kids.
Yeah.
I mean, and they didn't have control over that. But I think she needs reassurance that like that girl doesn't blame her for what happened to her. And I feel torn because there's part of me that was kind of excited that to see her again because we were such good friends.
Right.
And I was like, that'd be so cool to like have her back in my life and then be friends again. But at the same time, I'm scared because, you know, like, I don't know, because of everything that happened, I don't know how to be friends with her, or I don't know if I can be friends with her and not think of that foster home every time I'm with her and looking at her. And um I just, I almost feel kind of burdened to be around her and be in class with her.
Yeah.
And it's just, I just don't know what to do, because I also, she seems so happy to see me, but at the same time I just don't, I feel like she would have, I don't know, blamed me for what happened. And it's just, it's confusing because she doesn't.
Right. It is confusing. So is that the thing? Is that what scares you the most about you getting closer? Is that the scariest thing you feel happen, or do you think there's something else that could be worse?
I mean, I think it's just scary that, like, when she kind of came back into my life here, and I found out who she was,
Hmm.
it just, it just makes me feel that kind of my past is all coming back into my life. And it's more just the feelings that she causes
Yeah.
that are scary, and kind of the memories that I keep having whenever I see her and stuff, that are scary and really overwhelming. And I don't know how to tell her that, like, that her being around is causing that.
Yeah. That's tough. That's tough. At one point, this is someone that was a friend of yours, and now she's trying to reconnect, but at the same time, it's very scary for you. So the challenge is, how can you, if you want to rekindle that relationship, but also deal with those terrifying feelings of the past? I'm just curious. So you talk about your character Sam. What would Sam advise you? And I know she's fictitious, but if Sam was giving you some advice on how to handle this, what would Sam say?
um I mean, Sam would probably tell me to just, like, be really blunt with her and just kind of talk to her about everything I'm feeling, and the fact that, like, I am happy to see her, but I'm also really overwhelmed by seeing her again, and why. And just to ask her if she blames me for all of that or not. And yeah, and Sam's just a really blunt person, and she just can, like, walk up to people and ask them stuff like that. And she's just really open. She doesn't really sugarcoat things, or beat around the bush about things. She just asks people what she wants to know to
Yeah.
get answers.
Sounds like Sam is courageous. She's willing to take some risk. So how much of Sam is in you?
I mean, I think, like, I think I have my moments where I'm a little courageous like Sam, but maybe where not where there's a lot of things at risk. It's kind of like I can be courageous in like things that aren't quite as risky.
Yeah. Yeah.
And but when it comes to something that's like, I don't know, maybe really personal, when it comes to things that have to do with people and relationships with people, then I tend to like back away from it and I just get really scared of it.
It is scary. I think Sam has some wisdom on that. At the same time, what you're saying, you need to be wise and be prudent. You know. Hmm. So when are you gonna go? When are you gonna go back to class?
Well, so I've been going to class, but I keep just showing up late so that class has already started.
Yeah.
And I've kind of started sitting in the back so that no one really knows that I've come into class and stuff. And then I've just been like leaving a few minutes early. That way, like, because class is just going on and then I don't have to talk to her and stuff.
Right.
And she's tried to catch me a couple times, like just when we're on campus and not in class and everything. And I just keep making up excuses like I have to be at work or I'm busy or, and like I think she like knows that a lot of it's just excuses, it's not real.
Right.
And that I'm just avoiding her and it just keeps making it more awkward.
Yeah. 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 That's tough. That's tough. You're dealing with some very strong feelings, and you're not quite sure what will happen if you engage her. So let me ask you the magic wand question. I think I've asked you that before. So if I gave you a magic wand and you could wave it over the situation with your friend, what's her name? What's the name?
Lauren.
Lauren. If you could wave it over Lauren and yourself, what would you hope could happen? What would be the best thing that could happen between you two?
I mean, I wish that I could kind of get the courage to just ask her.
Okay.
Because I think if I knew just one way or the other, I think either way, I'd just feel better about everything. And, even if she was mad at me or blamed me for it and stuff, I mean, it would really hurt. And I just kind of have to finally live with that and knowing that. But, there just wouldn't be like an awkward tension whenever I saw her.
Yeah. So what do you think about that? About what you just talked about?
I mean, I keep trying to get up the courage to do it, and I keep talking myself into it. But then, like, every time I'm sitting in the back of the class or something and I actually see her, it gets a lot scarier than it sounded in my head. And I keep just putting it off. And I don't know, it's like there's something kind of holding me back from doing it.
What do you think that is?
I mean, part of it is like she hasn't really brought up anything about the past. And, I don't want to really bring that up and stuff because it wasn't just a bad time for me, it was a bad time for her too. And, maybe she's gotten over it. Maybe she's already worked through all of it, and I don't want to like bring that up again with her. Like, I don't know, I'm afraid that she'll, that maybe she does kind of resent me for it a little bit. And then I'm also afraid of like her feeling hurt again too because of bringing it up, or maybe because she has gotten over it and doesn't feel that way, but I'm still holding on to like that.
Sure. Sometimes practicing, it sounds like you want to do that, but there's a real fear of what the consequences may be. And this just not may not be the time. What I've asked some people to do when they have something very difficult to say to someone is for them to write it down. Kind of like if you're going to send her a letter. Would you be willing to, and again, you don't have to do anything with this. Would you be open to the idea of maybe writing a letter that you don't have to send, but maybe between now and the next time we meet, maybe think about writing a letter to her. So is it Lauren, dear Lauren? And just write that letter. Or what we could do, if you're comfortable, when you have that letter written, next time we meet, read that letter to me, and I can be Lauren for you. And just read that letter so you can hear how it sounds. So that could be an option. Well, what do you think about that? Would you be willing to write a letter and try that? And then we can practice it. And again, I think you're wise. I think maybe you need to be cautious. You don't want to end up traumatizing yourself or her. At the same time, there's still something that you feel you need to do. And for some people, letter writing could be the best way to start, just so you can hear yourself. So what do you think about that?
I think I could do that.
You do that? Okay. Wow. Oh my goodness. Well, what a surprise. Now, did you mention that you're a person of faith? Did you mention that? And I don't know if you ever talked about faith.
I am. So my like birth parents were actually Catholic.
Okay.
And so I was baptized as a baby. And then for a lot of my life I wasn't, because of the foster homes that I was in and everything. But the foster home that I was in, that was the really good place that I was in and stuff, they were Christian.
Okay.
And part of living with them was that, until I was 18 and no longer kind of, I no longer like a child, and I was be an adult and able to make my own choices. But while I was living with them, I had to go to church with them and stuff. And so I ended up reconnecting with like faith when I was living with them.
Yeah.
And then after I got taken from that place, like every now and then I sit and like I talk to God and stuff, but I don't tend to go to church a whole lot and everything. It's more just like, I know God's comforting sometimes, but I'm not super close to any of it.
Yeah, that kind of makes sense. I can understand. The reason I brought that up, you're talking about you encountering Lauren. And some people believe that, and I tend to believe that there's no such thing as just luck. I think everything has a reason. And that's why I brought up faith. For some people, encounters like that or have a design or have a purpose. So, and again, we're just kind of stepping out here that this may not just be by chance. This could be part of your healing. So I'm going to trust that, as scary as it is to encounter Lauren, I mean, what a shock, that meeting in your program maybe has some kind of purpose towards your healing, if that makes sense. So just kind of think about that maybe there's a reason that at this time you have encountered Lauren. Maybe there's a reason, and I don't know what that reason may be, but just think about that as you're working on your letter. Would you be willing to think about that?
Yeah.
Or what the purpose may be?
Mm-hmm.
So I know we have a few more minutes. Anything else? Well, that's huge. I mean, my goodness, encountering somebody from your past like that. I can see why that was why that flooded you with emotions and so on. I want to congratulate you on not running out of that classroom, not quitting, not disappearing, not abandoning your dreams, because I know in the past you've been abandoned and so on, but not abandoning yourself, but sticking in there with something that's been very, very scary. I mean, it would be very easy for you to quit, but you didn't. Hopefully you will congratulate yourself on hanging in there, right?
Yeah.
So we have a few more minutes. Anything else that you want to bring up?
Well, so um I have a friend. His name's Kyle, and he likes to go by Kai though. And he's kind of part of that group that I told you about, that
Yeah.
kind of our little friend group. And I talked to him about Lauren cuz yeah, I really needed to talk to someone, but I was so busy throughout the week and stuff that I couldn't like set up another appointment with you until now. And so he ended up bringing me a dog all of a sudden that now I have just living at home. And um like I really like dogs, but I don't know if I have all the time for it. But like, he was being really nice about it, and um like he meant really well by it, and he's like, I think you just sort of need a buddy to be at home with you so you're not at home alone. And dogs are great for just, you can cry with them and stuff, and they just sit there and listen to whatever. And so I don't know, now I'm just trying to figure out like whether I try to make time for this dog and keep it, or try to find something to do with it.
Wow, two big decisions.
Well, and he's a nice guy, and I love him to death, and he's really good-hearted, and he means everything well, but I'm just like, I have so much going on right now.
Yeah.
And yeah.
Okay. Okay. Well, over the next week, just kind of think about what you want to do with that. So, is the concern with Kyle or the concern with the dog?
Like, part of it's kind of Kyle, because he like, I mean, I don't know. I don't want him to like, I don't want to hurt his feelings
Right.
by not keeping the dog. And I really like the dog too, but I also don't want to like keep it if I can't give it all the time that maybe it needs. But Kyle thinks that if I have the dog, it'll get me out of the house more when I'm just kind of on my days off and I'm at home and stuff. And he thinks it would be good for me to not sit at home kind of on my days off, and to actually have something to keep me busy.
Okay. Okay. Well, that's something we can certainly talk about next time we meet.